Sanje Chudong Soji Chonala, Sanjo Badu Dani Japsuji, Dai Jinsu Jibe Sonandi, Chola Penche Sanje Dubashi, Sanje Chudong Soji Chonala, Sanjo Badu Dani Japsuji, Dai Jinsu Jibe Sonandi, Chola Penche Sanje Dubashi, Sanje Chudong Soji Chonala, Sanjo Badu Dani Japsuji, Dai Jinsu Jibe Sonandi, Chola Penche Sanje Dubashi. Shulaga Tupa Jenita Jumzen Jenata Jumzen Abadi
We're on we're on the sixth verse, reached the sixth verse. And this presents the fifth reason for why we should generate compassion.
Daniela Sidi Dieter Pendam Never Chevale, the Otani, Tungi Semeva, Niki Jurujuba de Chiriam, Simjenam Tagi Lama is. Thus Simjen Tigeti La Pa, and then Pemba Jena, Tsudewa Yue, Pa Neva Jena, Tsutunge Yue, Tungi Semeva Yue, Pa Pemba Jena, and then Tsudewa Semeva Yue, Tindigi, and Gurkurba Yinza, and then Simjen Tigeti, and then Lama is, that's it in the Chire.
So the sixth verse reads, in this way, since benefiting and harming are the causes of immeasurable happiness and suffering, sentient beings are also my gurus. So the meaning of these words is, well, that with regard to sentient beings, so if I help, if I benefit sentient beings, the result will be happiness. Whereas on the other hand, if I harm sentient beings, or if one harms sentient beings, the result will be suffering. Immeasurable suffering, so immeasurable happiness and immeasurable suffering. And for that reason, sentient beings are also my gurus or my lamas.
Ta lama yin se di la wagi shola ga nishu tsapje di la dana lama shindu se dwa.
So with regard to sentient beings being like my guru or being like my lama, this is also said on in verse 28, when it says that they are like, I should therefore rely on them as on a guru. So in the last line of verse 28. Likewise, you find the same in verse 18. So here, seeing someone like a lama, respecting or considering someone like a lama.
That Dijidujane, and a Simjin Digetilla, Pa Pento Jebaina, Pemba Jebaina, and a true Devotemeva Tokyo Inza, and a Lamana Shinres Lana, the test de Osdoadi.
So, with regard to benefiting sentient beings, saying that by way of benefiting sentient beings, we will reap immeasurable happiness. Well, to say that for that reason we should see them as a lama kind of makes sense, or seems acceptable.
That and that dila, and Nigi Guru Juba Dechias, that we that dear Lafshara, Pa never chena to Tunetsema Yunguris. And Dina Dichane Lama Nashiri Lana, this Lachabuda.
But here says they're the cause of both. So in other words, they're the causes of both happiness and suffering. So taking into consideration also the part of suffering, well, it becomes a little difficult to say that they're like one's lama or like one's guru.
That the say the Yanamenani Tendina Karsigure Monsuta Sanje Dang, Anel Janju Sembare, Sanje Reta, Lama Suzuki Vishini Lana, Zachin Bushibuji, and Chir Simjin, Tasuzu the Tirami Simjin Tiki, Tina and Nuking Ta, and then Kasureta, Dongje Killing in Nan, Dongje never yore singing sort of Tisula, Simjin Tiki, the Lape, Tongjung Dang, the Magawachi, Yondi Gorva.
So, for instance, well, we can look at it in the way that when we talk about Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or Lamas, or spiritual teachers, so Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Lamas, etc., so we consider those to be very precious. Whereas on the other hand, those sentient beings, ordinary sentient beings, that we don't have any connection to, that we do not connect, that we have no relation to, they are like our enemy, for instance, or if we believe in like ghosts or spirits, well then we have no liking for them, and we dislike them, and we may even bully them.
Jizanda Jidan Sheba in the two pentong in Jovoda, making in Jasi Yore, and Dina Shinchine, and Sanjida Chanju Semba, the Lamadisi, Susu Pento, Yang Kashiki Susu Chichi, and Gate, Dindinam Shachi, Yoro, Jitan.
So, of course, in general, we talk about friends that benefit us. So, there are friends who benefit us, there are enemies. And so, likewise, we talk about Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Lamas, and so forth, who do have our own benefit, are of our personal benefit. And then, of course, there are those who harm us. There are those who harm us from the point of view of stopping us from teaching the Dharma, etc. And of course there are those who are negative, there are negative forces, bad things, bad and negative things. So here, there's medicine, or there's something that is beneficial, and there's something that is bad. So here, of course, we can talk about those things like medicine, something that is medicinal, that benefits us, versus something that harms us, that is bad, that is negative. But of course, none of those exists independently as being positive or medicinal and negative.
다 캡삼을 개화문 사이즈 용되고 알아.
So of course it depends on how one acts with regard to other people. So this is something that depends on the individual in the sense if one engages in negative actions and harmful actions, then even with regard to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, spiritual teachers and so forth, one accumulates a lot of non-virtue. Whereas on the other hand, if one is someone who practices love and compassion, one knows well how to apply these different practices, then one is able to apply those also, these types of mind of love and compassion, one can apply those also towards one's enemy or towards those who harm oneself, and in that way accumulate a lot of virtue.
제가 지단기 기자마 인바체 에네 수수기 지단 셴바이나 안 심제 참마다 수수 라마나 신제스나다 딘디 고하면도.
So what it probably means is that this does not refer to this in general, but instead it refers to the individual. If the individual knows how to practice effectively, knows how to do this effectively, then how to utilize harm, etc., then this is something beneficial, or another person, other people become like one's own guru, one's own lama.
The Chik Madama de Wadi Akion, the Simjetamji Susu Lama Nashin, Simjetamji, the Susula Mutu Surungi Idam Nashin, the Simjetamji Yishing Nobunashin, the Tila.
So here there's only one line in verse number 6 saying that sentient beings are also my gurus. But then in the verses below that are presented further down the text, well, there it says very clearly that these sentient beings are like one spiritual master. There are like a meditational deity that helps one to attain realizations, and there are like a wish-fulfilling jewel.
The
reason being that short-term happiness as well as ultimate happiness, temporary and ultimate happiness, they all depend on sentient beings.
Mimashi Samlena, the DGC to Chedigi, Lu Longe, Tindi, the Yijima, the Sambo Yomare, and Nikiwamachi Kelingo Mare, DGC, the Chung Chung Chire, and that Dilla Tube, and DG Shenate, Society Gidi, the Shenate, the Chung Si, the Chung Chung Geshe, Shanama to Yomara.
So to provide a course explanation here, well, just from the point of view of this life here, so from the point of view of this existence, we are dependent on so many sentient beings, that is, our happiness depends on other sentient beings. But of course this is a very narrow explanation here, taking into consideration only this one lifetime and the happiness of this lifetime. And furthermore, the happiness of this lifetime, usually we talk of happiness in this life, this refers to happiness with regard to the body, with regard to external enjoyments and so forth. So anything that provides us those objects or benefits us physically is regarded as a source of happiness. So in this sense, this is only a very small kind of way, this is a very narrow-minded way of looking at how sentient beings benefit us only from the point of view of this lifetime.
There's interesting solution. Teacher, any teaching Manda, Sanjay Kovan, Sanjay Tobe, Dian, Samjan, Toguri, CHG. That's Teshidi, Lake Harbor, the Chileva in Nata, Monera, the Sanjana Shingi, Susugi, Lamanta, Sanjay, Tashimutsiva, Shinji, Simjin, CHG, Letu Chadi, Roshine.
However, if one takes it to a subtler level, when it takes this explanation onto another level, a wider kind of level, well then sentient beings are also indispensable or imperative from the point of view of happiness in future lifetimes and from the point of view of attaining full Buddhahood. So here it's difficult to really understand the meaning of these explanations, but if one fully understands them, if one fully understands how sentient beings lead to or important in order to reach those states, then one will be able to recognize how sentient beings are like one's personal lama or like one's guru. So just like the Buddhas, as precious as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Rangi digi tamchi ta simjam tene chumba res or did the
So here, therefore, this is the fifth reason that is presented in this verse here, where it says that all our happiness, all our well-being depends on sentient beings.
다 김쟁가바 데티 인디 다 김쟁가 모두 거요 말에 다디나 디멘체디 김쟁 믹스하고 요 말.
So this being the fifth reason, and this is there are only 5 reasons presented in this text. So this being the fifth reason, there are no further reasons presented, and everything else is just further elaborated on, or the remaining text elaborates on those 5 reasons.
이네 다디 김쟁가바디 다 신카부 시부지 갈레카부 다디 녀라 알레 고아차카고 라우르 그지제 아니 고아차사비제레 셈도 수카고 요 인장 다디네 개부진이 시에 된다는 녀라 다쇼라가 주버디 돌텐치 숨샤다 되게 와를 용해게 참을 또 뒤치진 마치 숨.
However, the fifth reason is difficult to understand. It is difficult to come to understand it, to gain some understanding of what this refers to. And once this has been understood, to also pierce the mind, to really go to internalize, to be able to actually internalize it becomes is even more difficult. So for that reason, the 6th verse describes the 5th reason only briefly or in an abbreviated way, whereas then the verses that follow from verse 7 onwards, then those verses are an extensive explanation of that particular reason.
Tadi Thubten ngela ane shimpengi sem senemje jamingje kazan labana shinji jamba ningje lasum chanju sem ane jawe chane jimbo chujum seba nje ta shimpengi semba di shimpen je di shimpengi sem di ane nega dan tardugi digi tamji gi junne yimba de chu an di chu chabe jela dindigi shimpengi sem di shimpengi jamingje di simjen la tene chumba de chu. So with regard to the way here, the 6th reason of what it establishes here, so with the way in which it establishes a particular thesis, well, here we're talking about the mind that benefits sentient beings. So here, benefiting sentient beings, referring to love and compassion, as already explained yesterday. So the altruistic attitude, bodhicitta, this loving or loving kindness. So in other words, there's awareness, these types of awareness which work to benefit other sentient beings. And so first one establishes that these types of awarenesses are beneficial temporarily as well as ultimately, that they're beneficial. And that all these depend on sentient beings. So it's in dependence on sentient beings that we achieve these different states, and therefore they're like our spiritual teacher. So then this just being a short explanation, but then it has 2 facets to be presented here, that by way of benefiting other sentient beings, oneself reaps full benefit, or oneself is benefited by that attitude of wishing to benefit others, as well as through this attitude one also benefits others. So those are the 2 facets, that it's beneficial to oneself and others. 다 신체버지나 랑르디기 용구레시에기 딜레 된다치기 임바치라 상당당 때스케바 요서레 신체버진비 셈디 수식 규기 잠바다 닝지다 디 내가 나타티기 디기 중내레 두 상당바이나 당 해규기 잠니지 이렇게 당고도 세 심슈디 레모라 다디 규다가라 임바치라 신 심진 디게 디체버진바이나 마라나 펜도 용구레 람나 람상양 파주들 가부체디 카두코를 떼스 슈체와 용댕이 된다지고 임버지라 상당쇼기 떼스 켜버렸어요.
But then when we say that the awarenesses that benefit or that are directed at benefiting other sentient beings, that they provide us with happiness or that they benefit us, Well, there's a certain way, this has a specific meaning here with regard to, well, or in the sense that there's a different way of thinking about this or considering this. One way is to think about it in the following way, that love and compassion, if I generate love and compassion in my continuum, then that will lead me to temporary as well as ultimate happiness. So for that reason, so I therefore then need to work on increasing and enhancing this particular states of mind. And then another way to think about this is to think that, well, these states of mind, love and compassion and so forth, they will, through those awarenesses, I will receive happiness from other sentient beings. So then there's right away a sense of something coming from sentient beings, and therefore the wish to benefit those beings. There's a feeling, it takes us towards this attitude of wanting to benefit others.
So
this concludes some short explanation with regard to the fifth reason, and now again I will give a more extensive explanation.
Any rabla shen la penta machuna shen la nema ke se chubachi ta di yimbi captain de la di chego ya khares na tawa tenchung res ta di gyuen la timi tenchung de chade go cheza ta gyuen de tenchung si du chane ta di ma shipsaru tu de lente kan le ani shen la ne ke na rang la kang te gre shen la penta na rang la anti gi yung res tawa di ki ni ani 제자 안에 신라 내게나 digmare 내게나 수술 내고도 왔어 안에 신라 펜타 구글에 가르스는 신라 펜타는 랑 팽기도 왔어야지 다와 디비제 단지 다다 디 저번이들 간 레토도
So usually what His Holiness explains when he gives an introductory teaching on Buddhism, what he usually explains is that Buddhism basically is subsumed under two factors. So one factor is the view of dependent arising and the conduct of non-violence. So when we talk about the conduct of non-violence, this actually has two characteristics or two aspects. One aspect is to refrain from harming sentient beings. If we cannot benefit them, to at least refrain from harming other sentient beings. And the other one is to benefit sentient beings. And the reason for doing so, or the supporting idea for this particular conduct is the view of dependent arising. In particular, dependent arising from the point of view of causes and conditions. And then if we take this type of dependent arising to a deeper type of level, it comes down to dependence from the point of view of cause and effect, that is the law of karma. So the law of karma in the sense of karmic actions leading to particular results. So we come to understand therefore that any type of harmful actions lead to suffering, whereas beneficial actions lead to happiness, lead to pleasant experiences. And so it's this view with it leads us, this understanding of this particular law of karma then leads us to come to understand that it's not okay to harm other sentient beings because it leads to personal suffering experiences, and on the other hand it is appropriate to benefit others because that leads to happiness. So in this way our conduct of benefiting others is the result of that way of thinking.
To this the net dubas name do chile chick di tindijuore. Chindawa legible tentative new to Jurus six dog tigre. That lake condition saba in and Tibudi and Tina Timbajun good essay she was it down.
So with regard to the law of karma and its result, well, to describe this in a brief kind of fashion, well, there's a quote from the sutras. There's this quote from the sutra which says that whenever there is karma, there is a result. So whenever there is a karmic action, then there is some type of result. This is what it says in the sutra.
Ene simjela never cheduzen never cheda mida yoba inza and tina shinji chu and dig nami the chu to nyon and to mida yonde.
So therefore, with regard to harming sentient beings, there being different types of harming sentient beings. And according to these different types of harming others, there are different types of ripening effects, which are with respect of the earth, which are the results of those harmful actions, and they ripen in the form of the different types of suffering. And in the same way, just as there are different ways in which one can benefit sentient beings, in the same way those beneficial actions result in different types of happiness.
ko kariche na midi la paga mishinda la nida ta na timge to ziwa la we shu na ta kambe shu na ta digi shu na ta khari ne khanje chedan di khari ne timdi chi ta chi jun chi bo na chi ba tan sho kuma gu ne joma na ta ani mi se ne joma na ta ani khari ko tim chi bo tan sho ro ne lenje di tim tang bi ke je ma ro ko saben kan gu yin ge je yin di saben kan de yin ne dina shingi de bu ji yong yin di jesan ani pa se ba yin na 디나미디 수용의 제마수 세통동 차에 아니 파심 쪽제 딘디기지 셰바이나 제마수 세마지로 용해 파크의 번절을 내게바이나 제마수시 번절을 내게 디리마도 파 번절을 내게는 수수 세통동 차야다 거의 파 아니 셈 가서 수불을 내게는 제마수시 셈을 마지 어딘데기 가가 가서 집어지게 용거말 수수수 되는 팀부터 용거야.
Now, with regard to causes and their effects here, well, of course, if there is a type of God here, a kind of celestial being, or just from the point of view of the judicial system, here it's not necessary that any type of action is punished, if you like, or you receive a result that exactly fits that particular action. So, for instance, if one beats up another person, one hits one, when one beats another person, doesn't mean that from a judicial point of view or from the point of view of the law that you also need to get beaten up. If you beat someone with your hand, you don't need to get, as a punishment, you're not necessarily beaten with your hands. If you kick someone, you're not necessarily kicked. If you stab someone with a knife, you're not necessarily stabbed with a knife. Instead, all these actions lead a person to be imprisoned. So no matter what the negative actions or these criminal actions, what they are, the result of them will be to be imprisoned. However, karma is not like that. The law of karma does not work in that way, that there's some kind of general punishment for any kind of negative action, for any kind of crime accumulated. But rather here, with regard to certain actions such as killing someone, the result of killing someone or murdering someone, the result of that is, for instance, having a short life, or making another person unhappy, causing another person to be unhappy leads to personal unhappiness. So the result of that is to also experience mental unhappiness. And likewise, stealing from someone will lead to having one's possessions taken. So therefore, it's not the case that as a result of stealing, the result of that, the karmic result of stealing means that you have a short life, or the result of physically harming someone will lead to kind of mental unhappiness. So each cause has a particular result that accords with the action that has been accumulated.
Anti shega to do ne misaba to zota kiwanga chida ke na ma dong de mo bo yusere ta she was de de she go de ta le de she go de ra ba ji she ane pa ge chetila mila pa ne ke ba ina so so chuma na do ko e ane chema chu le bo lo e ane so so sem tu e de ge cheti chan ne de chi de she ke go yusere ha.
From the point of view of karma, from the point of view of the law of karma here in the Buddhist scriptures, you find a lot of explanations, many different explanations and presentations with regard to this law of karma. However, for those who are new to the Dharma, for them, for instance, the idea of past and future lives, they may not necessarily be happy about this, in the sense that they may dislike the concept of past and future lives, and it's difficult to explain Dharma in the context of reincarnation. So for those people, for those who do not have faith in past and future lives, then for them a kind of coarse explanation, a rough explanation is appropriate with regard to only this lifetime. So to explain that any kind of harmful actions can have negative results just in this lifetime. So to be imprisoned, for instance, as a result of harming others, being punished by way of being put in prison, having to spend time in prison, and then even after being released, having several different problems, suffering from mental worry and anxiety, etc.
Jizanta di any number shungne shibi lentetishi mune di rigomar. Think sabre the pasha, think sabre kijata pasha, aningil lentetishi mune di rigomar.
So leaving aside a subtle kind of presentation, this course presentation actually does not really cover the Buddhist explanation. So it does not really represent the Buddhist explanation or presentation of the law of karma.
Koresena shungne shesha yotile kiwatan tewani di junjesu ngebar. Ane tibatan ane tungeni di junjesu ngebar.
The reason being that there's certainty with regard to non-virtue definitely leading to happy experiences or happiness, whereas non-virtuous actions definitely leading to suffering. So there's this infallible relationship between those aspects.
Tandagi dishi jere digi chidan yode yore kiwa cheba ina sosul pendo mambu yoeda tiba cheba ina chetile nye mambu yode yore de ina chaba mendo kuma ku eni kyune ha mogonna ani misiji dile ha mogonna ani kyosan raro ta kono mu kayela kyosan raro ta ani tiba cheni kiwa kasa kibu yoedo.
So actually this explanation is not able to cover the full extent of the law of karma, in the sense that, of course, just talking about the law of karma from this life's point of view, that virtuous actions can have positive results and negative actions can have negative results, but there is no, it's not the case that this is not always the case, so it's difficult, so there's no provision in the sense that this does not always take place. So in some cases someone may steal objects and no one else knows about it, and this person enjoys whatever they've stolen, or to engage in any kind of non-virtuous actions, but that leads to some kind of happiness, or the person, as a kind of result of that negative action, the person may experience some type of happiness. Likewise, as a result of having sacrificed oneself for the benefit of others, one may experience lots of problems. So again, as a result of sacrifice or benefiting others, one experiences problems and difficulties or suffering.
ene kashigi o ta diche ta gyojina ne pendo yores tambu chihache ne kange mbu teonde o ta tsimbarishas ne petu kar tawa lote dishi di kembe ya ne yungor.
So with respect to this course presentation of the law of karma here, so from one hand, of course, it is beneficial in the sense that some people come, independent on that presentation, come to the understanding that there is some benefit to be reaped, or some of the results of benefiting others are positive results. However, the problem in this case could be the problem that may arise is that when we accumulate virtue, that after some time we experience problems as a result of these virtuous actions, and then we may lose our faith in the law of karma, thinking this doesn't really work. So it doesn't really work, the law of karma, that any positive action leads us to happiness, and then the person may stop engaging in these positive actions. So in that sense, this kind of explanation, this course explanation, can have some disadvantages.
남주시에 대해 준제기 조당에 모두 렌제 조당 말이스. 오늘 렌제 조당 세에 대해 가르스는 레디 제비 진이 생기 등도 바샤지샤. 이거지래 nibadi mini ene da dibele na nibadi mimi kengi en tumeyo hechi le deto tante dusre tanda page jona joses susugi takumaku na kanje lega tujaje diding simdun nibadi sha nibadi mimi kengi jona joki jage marwa ko pagela ani 다 미신다게 하고나 아니 저만나 또 하모고나 버제주샤이나 버제나 테나 저만나 또 마테나 저만나 만저레마도 생기들이 니바샤 니바디미나 저만나 또 딘디게제게 말와 저산티 카가레스.
So one of Geshema's teachers, he gives the explanation, he usually explains that this course presentation of karma, as explained before, is merely an explanation of the law of cause and effect. It's not an explanation of the law of karma, in the sense that the law of karma, what that refers to is that a volitional action, it leaves an imprint or some kind of potential on the mental continuum. And then at some point that potential, that imprint, then ripens in the form of different experiences. So this basically is the explanation of the law of karma. Whereas on the other hand, saying that as a result of stealing, one goes to prison, one is imprisoned, well, that refers to the law of cause and effect. So it's not necessarily the case here it's not the case that the stealing leaves an imprint, leaves a potential on your continuum, and when the continuum ripens, you go to prison. The reason you go to prison, that is a result of someone, for instance, witnessing the theft. So if another person sees you stealing something, or there's a video recording of you stealing something, well then that becomes a condition, that becomes one of the causes that takes you, or that leads to or results in one's own imprisonment.
다 제정다 렌제시에디 아니 페나타 미치기 소잡이나 소잡이다 군노선베토네 소잡아 딜레테네 생기팅도 니버실레 바차지샤 바차디 다시갈라모 키시 바차디 민바이나 디쳔베 차다밀레 제토베 디체 다 데스마세 키비 네가소야 데케 사비 젤라야 디기 나민기 엔 체링고요해 아니 가시고레 디기다 규퉁기 제부라 제가 규퉁기 제비 이겨와지만 소짜벨라 아니 소주라 가보면보다 소짜벨라 가보요해 디기 단제라 다 치로레 교화드시고 디기 단제라 디 슈징기 치로그 코리오낭로레 다 맹기 신문부제다 두기 신시라마제다 가제다 미 최den기 다 여거코이다 코리오 칼리라 또 스틸 슈긴지 테데야지 어떤지 순거예요.
So therefore, with regard to the law of karma and its result, here we're talking about, for instance, the action. So to give an example of the action of saving someone's life, from protecting someone or saving another person's life with a positive motivation. Now this positive action, that beneficial action, leaves an imprint in one's mental continuum. And at the end of one's death, it may ripen in the form of a karma that then leads to rebirth either in the celestial realms or the human realm. So it could ripen in that way. Or if it doesn't ripen in that way, then in the next life, it may ripen once one has taken rebirth. It may ripen in the sense of experiencing a long life. So to not die prematurely, but instead have a long life. And so here we talk about results that are concordant with their cause, so concordant with the type of karmic action. So there's a behavioral concordance and there's an experiential concordance. From the point of view of the experiential concordance here, one has similar experiences in a future life of, for instance, someone saving one's life, protecting oneself, or one likes protecting other sentient beings. And then there's also what is called the empowered result. An empowered result means as a result of saving someone's life, one is reborn in an environment that is very conducive for one's health. So there are herbs, there are medicinal herbs, and etc. And so the environment basically is conducive for the person's health and long life. So those are the different results that are prescribed with regard to this particular positive action.
디진비 출로 코요를 슈진 테 시기 요래라 담보께와 렌당래 제보 연구로 밀레께버 지고 있네 소주범비 레디기 계와 렌서디 룸바 강도 모추메사 Neyamesa, Tindigi Lumbala Ketre, Tayan Kumapan Bile, Kumapan Chimbatan, Tindigi Ledigi, any Mileki on this channel, Yan Mileki Bachiwale, any Panjolonge Yosegi, any Kuryuta, Dirkata, Tindigi, Tungun Yabu Yosegi Lumbala Ketre. This is a young guru.
And so not just from the point of view of where one takes rebirth, but where one is reborn, so a karmic cause or a karmic action can lead to particular rebirth, but on top of that, it also serves as the condition of other positive circumstances. So as a result of saving someone's life, for instance, one will be reborn in a state where there's no war, where there is a place that is conducive to one's own healthy and long life. And on the other hand, as a result of stealing, again, not only of refraining from stealing, so not only is one reborn in a positive, so for instance, as a human being, for example, not just in a positive state, but also in a place that provides one with everything that is necessary, certain fruits, etc., that are necessary. So a very affluent kind of place.
And Segi Penata, Kumaya Maku, Chimbaya Mata. Or Tizugi, Tachaman Leondi, Panjun Mambo Mayomache, Gang Yabati, Tembo, Chigi Toring into Kumaki into that, Chumagi, Paki Kyun short to Tenimebas, Tembo Yabache. Dayan Kumai, Chimbaya Tang, Ching the Yombache, Yang Yomba Kanshila, Yang Pai, Tangin Demo, Buyache, Chisa Chintawa, Legiva, the native new to your city. Takumai Maku and Chimbaya Tang Chevaina, and a young until a naging can make Tembo Charta.
So, for instance, if one does not steal, and one does not steal on one hand, but one is also not generous, and does not give away one's things, one is not generous. So, in that case, one will be born in a place which is very stable, in the sense that on one hand there won't be much affluence, one will not experience great affluence, but at the same time there's no one who takes away objects from oneself. There are no calamities, there are no great calamities of the elements, natural calamities and so forth. One will basically live in a state that is very stable. If on the other hand one has accumulated, one has stolen things, one has engaged in theft, and also has been generous at the same time, well then one will experience affluence to some degree, but again also lose a lot. One will also experience a lot of loss that other people or other thieves stealing one's possessions and so forth. And so this is what it says in the sutra. So wherever there's a karmic action, there's necessarily a result. And another possibility would be to be generous and not to engage in stealing, which results in rebirth in a state where there's a lot of affluence and there's no danger of losing one's possession. So likewise, if one is generous with one's possession, but does not give with a respectful attitude, rather one humiliates the object of one's generosity, then the result will also be that although one will be given objects in the future, those will be given by way of humiliating oneself. While if on the other hand one is very generous with others and gives respectfully, then as a result of that, again, one will receive other goods, one will receive objects, but they're all given with a respectful attitude. So this is therefore, this idea of the relationship between causes and results, they're expressed by this particular line in the sutra, where it says that whichever karmic actions there are, they will lead there will definitely be results. So this line basically summarizes everything that has just been explained.
Ani gyumze ma tongne da ko deba tsem gi tonne ya yi shu chim ling yin de yue du ha
So with regard to the concept of karma and its result, for many, there are those that don't really understand the types of reasoning that establish the law of karma, but they generate strong faith in this concept, and a strong faith, a strong belief in the concept of karma, without really understanding the reasoning behind it. And some generate faith because of their intelligence. So, in dependence on intelligence, they generate faith in the law of karma. Those who are not that, who have like a middling intelligence, who don't take it on blind faith, but also lack the reasoning, for them it's a little bit more difficult to take on the law of karma.
다 디지털지 신라된 중래 시에디 타나 산지기 지구디 신라 중래 소화시 레기도 딜라기도 그런 거 야보래.
So one of Geshe's acquaintances, he is very bright, he's very intelligent. So he has come to the understanding that all his happiness arises in dependence on others. Even full enlightenment, the state of full enlightenment, is a result of other sentient beings. So he's really reached that understanding.
나주시다 장만용의 딘데 네 그거절라시 나주시다 장요마레 타지도야 맞잖아 신마들 라도 말아 무슨 통세지나 시다 장요마데 이네 과란라디 초로리기도 기지시기도 딜라도야 데 가시고리 김제메비토네 데베진하지니야 이시 외딩이나 디베제 땅제 에네 신탐제 디중네레라도야 초가지 리기스래.
So on the other hand, there is an elderly man who's not really studied the Dharma. Of course, we cannot say that someone who hasn't really studied does not necessarily have knowledge. But basically, in the case of this particular passage, so without really having learned about the Dharma here, nonetheless, this person, there's a special feeling that arises in his continuum. So without actually depending on reasoning, he has great faith. He has faith in the teaching. So without depending on his intelligence and correct reasoning, he generates faith in the teachings, and that is also something that's beneficial. So having faith in karma because of this strong faith.
창으로 배제 땅 투베지 부지기 접촉 배제 땅 투베지 여인자 디케치 무시 지거.
But whatever it is, so of all the different, so whoever the person is in general, from the point of view of the Buddhist scriptures, the understanding of the law of karma is considered to be one of the most important, the most essential understandings, in the sense that it's useful from the point of view of generating love and compassion, from the point of view of generating renunciation, overcoming anger, overcoming attachment, and so forth. So an understanding of the law of karma is needed in all those situations. So it's an all-pervasive, it's an understanding that is all-pervasive in the sense that it helps with respect to different types of practices.
딜레야 시단진이 시는 딘디 랍초서라고 먼저 쪼디 개미기기 지구 쪼디 초라체 디베지구 개베지구로 초아대와 아니 디베지구로 초아도네지 아니 초아디 뇽에기 땡다 류지를 되는 게지 시용도 아니 디베기 땡징인기 류디 아니 개베지구지 아니 동에기 땡징인기 류디 다 미기베지구지 다 초아디기 딘디기 다 딘나미지 라미세듯이 제가 다 대단 튠비 다 동해계의 튠비 아니 치료기 견디 당제지 대화계의 튠비 치료기 견디 아니 단 디베 가사 대화계의 튠비 계획 당제지 어떻게도 쪼디 아니 초와듯이 안 디기 젤라세오르베다 디기 쇼라 디기 땡기 줄도 아니 풍부듯이 아니 디기 야라라 아니 치료기 아니 디
So with regard to another explanation here, or to provide a slightly different explanation here, so mainly when we talk about virtuous and non-virtuous actions, so the main result of virtuous and non-virtuous actions are different types of feelings. So as a result of virtuous actions, one will have pleasant feeling, one will experience pleasant feelings, whereas as a result of negative actions, one will experience unpleasant feelings. And so this is from the point of view of feeling, but then also there's a certain base that serves as the base for experiencing those positive or negative or pleasant and unpleasant feelings. So that is the body. So here there is the body that has pleasant experiences. That is the result of positive actions, whereas the body that, or the base that serves as the body that serves as the base of negative actions. That is the negative feelings. That's the result of negative actions. And then likewise, so this is kind of a ripened effect. The body is a ripened effect. And then you also have the empowered results, which are the environmental kind of factors. So a particular environment one is being reborn in. So certain factors, certain conditions, that will lead to happiness, or conditions, environmental conditions that lead to suffering. So in that sense, we can say any kind of positive action, it mainly results in certain feelings, positive or negative feelings, pleasant and unpleasant feelings, but it also results in a particular base and in particular empowered results.
Jezanta tanda di namjun any shibe namshala shirama jangin dindina di ha la gomentashi jenta pena bacha ki lega chesidu dindi yungudo da sanyi shube ta chuzenga batala lang se samlo shukchimbuji tayona ni kubi nego su samlo de ba nibadi hade le moto samlo khra yoma ni kubi nego su sanyi shube lang se samlo de yoyo khamarwa jeba chesina mido DJ satten due di para le milam di tana sono scendato in cortare redi shogo chuzen abas leon de tak de kora ni cheyo yachi da kashi da di gumedo chuze gumedo mata dine mare kashi le sozo chuzen abas lang samne pemba shu chimu ta ina chuzen abas ta le ni cheyo chuze sumba lang de yong de do jesan de bachagi le ga jesan jire.
So here when we talk about imprints, so imprints that are left on the mind as a result of certain actions. So here the ripening of those imprints, as a certain result, they do not necessarily relate to the law of karma. However, it's still helpful to explain them, to get an understanding of the law of karma by explaining these different concepts. So Geshe is saying, just to give you a course kind of explanation on those that may be, or of those different concepts that may be helpful. So many of you also don't know really about consciousness, how the mind works, and so to provide a better understanding, or to lead you to a better understanding of how the mind works, one example is that of imprints in a particular case of setting your mind. For instance, before you go to sleep, set your mind to get up the next morning at 5 a.m. So some people actually, they can do this in the sense that in the evening they set their mind, and what happens is that kind of determination to get up at 5 in the morning leaves some kind of potential in the mind. It leaves a potential which this kind of determination is no longer manifestly there, but it lies dormant, it lies latent, in the sense that you forget thereafter. Once you fall asleep, there's a type of forgetting about this, because you have dreams and you think about other things, so you're no longer aware of this motivation, of that thought to get up at 5 a.m. So Geshe is saying some people then the next morning they do get up at 5, they wake up exactly at that time. He himself is not like that. He does not wake up without an alarm clock. But there are others who can do this by way of setting their mind, then the next morning they're able to wake up. As a result of that, they wake up at 3 or at 5 a.m.
Dinashin Tamzala Lo Shipjus in Mungi, the meeting day, Nisutin, the Matoni, Lo Shipjus, that Tirama Jane. The Milan time, Iman Pacha the Shire, the Lushi Chilla and Tamzala, the Pacha the Sen, Milan Nola meet to it within the time.
So likewise, there are cases of someone, for instance, remembering something that occurred 40 years ago. A situation like in a dream, for instance, you have a certain dream about a person you haven't seen for 40 years, you haven't thought about for 40 years. But because of the imprint, the potential on in the mental continuum, then when that ripens, that particular imprint, it manifests in the form of having a dream about this person.
Lo shibju nguyengi semna pacha sha yodi lo shibju gi chela tsumi yongma na shin tsumun du jure yoba na shin chini ene ko semgi gyundi muti ni kewa chimo jote yinsa kewa ngama sha bi pacha di chedila mi ngwe di yongyor.
So in that sense that because of this imprint being having been left on the mental continuum, so 40 years ago a particular imprint was left on the mental continuum, now that may 40 years later now ripen or manifest in different ways. So if that is the case, then likewise a certain imprint that was left in this lifetime may ripen in the future, in the next life. A mental kind of imprint that was left on the mental continuum, with the mental continuum going on to a next life, then the imprint ripens in the form of different experiences in the future life.
Mashita di 먼저 단진 di shuchenbo 여인자 겨치마 라도 다른 뭐지 성코도 마도 디게 능이 로십줄 라도 통동제 겨치마 라도 정부 배정을 차서 오늘 전에 겨치마를 다다샤샤조디 선인의 시스는 로주이체를 바자의 면번의 로십줄을 통하래.
So actually, it's because of our self-grasping. It's due to our self-grasping that there is a sense of a future lifetime that is a long way away. So this is like not from now on. This is it's a long time. But actually, when we think of 40 years, so from due to our self-grasping, there's a sense of 40 years. That's quite short. But actually, if we think about it, if we only had to live a few more years, and in 10 years' time a certain imprint were to ripen in our future life, then of those two, 40 years and 10 years, the 10 years would be much shorter.
다 디제 제산다 디 인디자네 단다타 디두기 카세브레 게미기 디부 쪼디 쪼아간다 지요나 만제기 다 쪼아 동행 용해디 랍디자네 다 알레 루셰기 딜레 차바이네 고나기도 라바나기도 라기어디 디 용행 쪼디 쪼아디 셰바디레 마도 셰바디 파샤나 아네 라바디 로기 라바다 지바르와 롤라 디주네 쪼아디 용해 요마르와 로그 콜라 잡아슈네 나에요 말. 진짜 초대도 용대에디 류디기 땡체는 용겐디 셰바디 용대기도.
Similarly, when we talk about virtues and non-virtuous actions, so the main result of positive and negative action are different types of feelings. So when we say, for instance, feelings of experiencing, for instance, the suffering or the pain of a headache, or saying that my arm hurts. Actually, what really hurts, or the pain that is experienced by the body consciousness. So it's mainly a type of consciousness that has these painful experiences. Because without consciousness, if you just had an arm, there was an arm that was not connected or conjoined with a consciousness, it would be like the arm of a corpse. So therefore, it's really the feeling of happiness or the feeling of suffering that is the result of certain actions, and the body merely serves as a base for those feelings.
다 리기 셰바다 이기 셰바다 텔레장 셰모 화시 간드레야 디인디 딘디기 셰바디 균나마디 가네요 칼라네 용조 말에 파마네 용조 말에 다 교왕아마네 용대바 차대어와 다 교왕아지 셰사인 디인디 다 셰바디 균디 교왕아마네 두스 용대바 차대어.
Now when we talk about consciousness here, that has these experiences, so no need to, so the body consciousness here, and of course no need to talk about the mental consciousness. So these types of awareness, where do they come from? Well, they're not the result of the food we've eaten, they're not the result of our parents, but rather these different types of consciousness are the result, or are the present continuum of the former continuum from the previous life.
다 수부기 녀레 디 파마니 용데 바차데라.
So the substantial cause or the former continuum of this body is our parents' body or our parents' bodies.
제선다 수비 균이라네다 수비 녀레세네다 이 수부기 사변세네다 디 파마니 용조체 야 대토나 아니 폴라다 몰라다 디니마 용데 바치 다 만수기 단다 디도 용딩이 셰바 다 소와 디도 디기 아니 녀레세네다 균세네다 사변디 엔도신 야야 대토나 겨마마체 디네 야 대토나 디게 마마체 도스니 용데 바차데다.
So therefore, with respect to our physical body, when we talk about the substantial cause, or the former continuum, or the seed of this physical body, well, that is our parents' body. Our parents' bodies, they serve as the substantial cause and so forth of this life's body. And if we trace the continuum of this life's body even further back, well, then it's our grandparents' body that serves as the substantial cause, the continuum, or the seed of our present physical body. But then with regard to that which experiences happiness and suffering, consciousness, so consciousness which has these different experiences of pleasure and displeasure, so here the continuum, the former continuum, the substantial cause, or the seed of that is consciousness of the previous life, so the immediately preceding life. And if we trace it further, then the substantial cause, the continuum or the seed of this life's consciousness is the consciousness of lives that precede the immediately preceding life. So once we understand that idea, that concept, then we can gain an understanding of the law of karma and its effects.
그래서나 먼저 수고 속다 미자와다 카도 간데 용마용다 자미다 아니 내리에 랍쇼그라다 퇴된다 망보치 책이 견을 되고 되고 이내 사변다 들어도 파매기 내가 기타 릭세스르베 베베기 릭세스르와 딩사 DNA 나게 진스 진짜이디 신조데 어디나로도 들어와 차대도 속다 간데 용마용 간데 용마 망보시 그지 딜라다 그 사변다 들어와 차대도.
Why is that? Well, the reason is that the form of our body, the shape of our body, the color of our body, the color of our skin, whether our body is healthy or not. So everything about our body, it depends on certain causes and conditions. So here the seed of that is, well, nowadays we would say, for instance, the DNA and the genes, our DNA, which basically comes from our parents. So it is determined, the shape of our body, the color or skin color, etc. All that is determined by the seed which comes from our father and mother. And so this potential, this capacity of our DNA, some of it can be traced back to even our grandparents.
다디나 신식이 치료기 다 행동이나 야 행동이 야게온데 되게 제부 간제인 제부로 간제인 카토 간제인 로마 간제인 로마들라 리모 간제인 디차마 사벤다 들어야 되듯이 차대도.
So this is similar, likewise, to a tree. It's like a tree that is external to us. So an external phenomenon such as a tree. So the color of the tree, the kind of the fruits that the tree carries, the shape of its leaf, the pattern on the leaves, its bark, etc. All these, they have their origin in the seed that gave rise to the tree.
근데 인간다 수징기 뭐고 간단 강인에 코 간데 요마용디 코랑기 세븐팅기 니벌라 라레바디 차데샤 이네 셰베 리수주바데 콜라 세븐나 저ችን 용시마레라 간데슬라우.
So therefore all the physical objects have some kind of seed, there's some kind of origin, there's some kind of seed there that holds the capacity to give rise to this physical phenomenon. So how can we say this is not true for consciousness, that consciousness does not have some type of seed that gives rise to consciousness?
지산다 셰베기 초가티도 간데지 용마용 찬난 간데 용마용 아니 덴데기 망보치 에타 코라기 책이 견래 되고래 양 코라기 녀네 사변래 다 되어 샤고도 준지지 용기 조당게 더.
So therefore, with regard to consciousness which experiences the feeling of happiness, the feeling of suffering, that has all sorts of different objects that appear to it. So all this, of course, there are temporary conditions that also give rise to these appearances, to these different types of feelings. But there must be a substantial cause, like a seed or a substantial cause that gives rise to the present consciousness.
Dina shin subegi saben die toma mebane ko tenke bajin yede ba remido. Gen tebe wangi saben de lurodo. Saben de lurodo wangi chama tibu de lurodo. Dina shin manzo kiwa de tiba de semgi tundu khatu ne tenke de bikeje ke maro. Samlyogi lega chedanchi gi chembe ana creating du ni ba midawa jile midawa de chembe ya tibu midawa chube tu chade ro.
So similarly with regard to a physical object, a present physical object, here it's not the case that the way, the structure of this physical object has not been determined since beginning this time, but rather in dependence on certain causes and conditions, the seat of this physical object has been affected, and as a result of that, this particular physical object has individual or particular characteristics that have been determined by these causes and conditions. So likewise with regard to our consciousness, it's not the case that our experiences, the experiences of our consciousness have been determined since beginning this time, but rather it is through different conditions, different ways of attitudes, a different way of thinking about objects, so different mental states, therefore, that we now have a present awareness that has particular experiences.
Jezanta charnangi tone ki Gesheba ine tanda mi tindi yungudo karsugure kashi semgi kangye yoding kashela kashi karisin teme kume jingnang yongde gyumzen chuni mewachi jingnang yongde kashi yang teme kume majiba yongde kashi ta charnang taminde chene ane kya segin singa surabada tindi amjoro goyong ayatawa tindi mida dwa chilo ikye me mise meni 다 단달 라드다 레바기 토네 기지시도 가버려데 간들이야 디 녀네 레사듀자네 민다와치 카시 미시나르 시나모 디기 티부디 제온데 거 시나레오에 카시다 가르스고레 시나모에 계자마 임바지다 책주부터네 라지 파조기 세마지부터네 스 디케베 아니 디기 디미온드자네 되메기 마지발레오에 다디 도초기 카시야 랑기 강기 그 샘출레지의 기부 용댕에 되는 용댕이도 그 믹스기 상당한 신비 기적의 멤버체 야나면 구버지를 가들 요대고 더 미리지 랑킹한기 파트고 용대다 다 딘지 제선 수수수기 바차디 니만 레기 바차 샤다 민자위 왕기 미다 용해지 섬르기 주도 미다 용해지
So also from the point of view of the different kind of experiences that appear to the mind or that arise within the mind, because so talk about those, when we talk about those, so there are some who experience all sorts of problems, mental problems, who without any reason experience anxiety or fear in their mind, or without any reason are unhappy. So there's no direct reason here in the sense that there's nothing that happens, kind of external conditions that that give rise to this particular unhappiness or fear in this case here. So without external conditions, it just arises naturally. So this is really a case of having accumulated a certain karma, having accumulated a certain karmic actions, which results then in different experiences. Or it could also ripen in the form of being frightened by someone. So being frightened or being verbally abused, etc. So certain experiences one has, so externally being abused, etc. Then as a result, so these are also the results of karmic actions, and also as a result of the abuse, of being frightened, one experiences fear, one experiences unhappiness. And then of course the opposite is also the case. Some people are just naturally happy, they're naturally calm, they have naturally a calm mind, so without any special reason. So Geshe is laughing, well maybe they're just really stupid and they just have a calm mind for that reason. But basically there are those who are really naturally happy and calm. So here, this is another example of imprints ripening in the continuum, which then lead, imprints having been accumulated or having been left there in the past, they lead to the different experiences that we have in the present. Similarly, some have great intelligence and some have very weak intelligence. Again, they are the result of imprints that were left on the continuum in the past.
다 수비 내단당 레베기 내단기 토네 디시제 용도 용구리데 다디 디시 저두전에 간제 레베 내단 디지유나 시베 내단 디지 용구도 세 대점지로 다 원에 신야데 다 십사버제는 레베 내단 디지 유에바 디견비 시베를 주어 줘와르베 양나 시베 내단 디지 유에비 견기 레베를 주어 줘래라나 십사버제는 깔레 하부로 타제.
Of course, when we talk about these different experiences we have, they do depend on the physical body, they depend on the brain. There's definitely a correlation with regard to the brain. However, usually all we can say is that the brain and consciousness correlate. So there's this correlation here, but really to say that because of this change to the brain, because of the transformation of the brain in this way, this will definitely lead to this mental experience. But when we think about it in detail, we're unable to say that. It's difficult to determine that a certain change to the brain will definitely give rise to a particular mental state.
아버도다 등산 삼례기 내다 주어주의 쟁기 아니 수불을 주어줘다 레벨을 주어줘 뭐지다 라트용 거봐.
In particular, nowadays, one has come to the insight, to the understanding that changes to one's mental attitude, changes to one's thinking, leads to changes in the brain and leads to changes in the body.
제상 디지도 잠바 공부이나 아니 나로기 미신공고 지역이 제디야.
So therefore, nowadays one has come to the understanding that if one meditates, that is, familiarizes oneself with love, for instance, then the kind of substances in the body, they will be enhanced. So positive aspects in the body or substances will be enhanced, they will increase. And likewise, as a result of getting angry, one's immune system will decrease. So in the first case, one's immune system will be enhanced. In the second case of anger, it will decrease. So in general that is the case, but of course this needs to be analyzed, needs to be examined even further. So Geshe says he doesn't really believe that it's really the case that you get angry and some negative substance is being generated, and the moment your anger stops, the development of that substance is also being stopped. So Geshe doesn't believe that this is simultaneous. There's anger and there's some negative chemical, and there's no anger and the cultivation of that negative kind of, or that harmful substance is being stopped right away. And likewise with regard to love, Geshe doesn't believe that this is like this. There's this simultaneous kind of process taking place, but nonetheless, that needs to be further investigated.
사세비 제라 오다레마 송삼네 에네스 삼로지당 야나면나 겐지 테니 담보다 거의 뇌계손테 투제로 콘도사 슐라 파키지 시지 어다가 투샤다네 콘도디 네버 차나 디체를 레갈로 주디 니가로로 콘도 문지로 메버 지거레디 찍들로 콘도 슈디 무티니 하요레 찍들로 콘도 슈디 요마레 제상 딜레신 주체토가 있나 콘도 슈 하딩엔딜라 단다 이미시점 냐메디 무티니 다 대기나 신 슈침보 메네 무티니 유에딩이제 슈마항에 들었더니 매기래가디 잠체살 디나신 잡아 공부를 디나신 게시딘디 이나 페이지 인공엔지 요르다 다들 세버 주나 아니 신의 양조 삼바야라야 벤도요르.
So the reason for why Gema says this is because there is a difference between different scenarios. For instance, you may get angry if you may get angry, and as a result of that, so first there's anger, and of course certain substances are generated, chemicals are generated in your continuum, but then without without anything else, it's just you being distracted. So there's no other condition other than being distracted. And so, although you're not angry in the moment when you're distracted, you may do some other things, or you're busy, etc. The anger still lingers. So the force of the anger has not totally degenerated, but the anger kind of still lingers in this particular case. Whereas on the other hand, it is possible that you get angry with a certain incident. So someone, there's some adverse condition, something happens, so we get angry. But then we understand that we were wrong. We understand, oh, my anger was not justified. Whatever gave rise to the anger was not didn't actually happen in that way. And right away we can stop our anger. So in both cases, so in this case, in the second case here, the anger no longer lingers because the anger has really been stopped by way of thinking in a particular way. So in both cases, both are examples of the anger being there one moment and not being there a moment later. However, in the first case, the anger does linger, and so there's still, the influence of the anger is still there, whereas in the second case, that does not happen. There's no longer any lingering of the anger. And this should really be examined. In the first case, does the anger still affect the body in a negative way? And in the second case, does this no longer take place? So these two examples, or these two situations, need to be examined further.
Mashiti nichik tenso nima amji peji chikjena ko simpamge amji insar ta kanje amji chikti las buchunju kala kangye the ta losunju shibju chela ta ko temba chesar ta kangye chatsan temba chesar ani kisita tidikala kangye theson temba ine chorwa ke yoma ko gyun mutori wang ine lo shibju ngju chele genshin da ya the dindi kembe krisim ma kibacha simena zatable ine 크리스팅게 나서 자와디 담부 부구 친주가기 되레스 진짜 디 장어 세어거스 다 부구 친주가기 내추디야 랑제 엔틸라다 가르시오레 디노트리 다 계시 추다 네케네 디나 다 딜랑이 비참세 곰나타 간체타 네케버디 마힘비 디 장어 소마투나 아니 나서다 자마레스 딘딜라기도 근데 그때 제가 제 사러 왔으나 제가 제손 tenredi in a ladeers. Tindilagadu, the quick thing at our chatter and give some of the chatter.
Also, another example for what Gela just explained, which is similar, is something Gela once received an explanation by a doctor, a psychologist, who talked about children, for instance, they experience certain problems when they were little. So they were harmed, for instance, they've been abused as children, then 30 or 40 years later, they've totally forgotten about these incidents. They've totally forgotten about the abuse. So there's no longer any feeling with regard to this particular abuse. It doesn't arise. But nonetheless, these 30, 40 years later, they start experiencing problems. They're suddenly unhappy. They experience all sorts of mental problems. So actually, in order to resolve these mental problems, what is necessary to actually solve this present mental problem is to go back and bring up the problem or the abuse that was inflicted on that child in the past. And then whatever harm has been inflicted, for instance, to meditate on love and compassion and so forth, so to be able to solve this issue, because without that, the issue cannot be solved. And if one were to argue, well, the child has forgotten about the abuse, well, yeah, that is the case, but there's still something left. So still something being left here, this idea supports Gela's previous explanation.
Chizanta di nichudi muni ina, ta di ene tagilabana shinji chinjugangi di page tsangwa masuen ta ka di niba de laje 루숨주 십주체레 디기 캠베 셈라 규라토 수불라 규라토 단다이 다가지 디짱마 마쇠나 수불라 단뇌게 디 무틴 하데바나 신치기 다 체치마 다 르니슈기 십주체라 라마고체 루추 니슈이체라 체치마 레토디 체치마 레토비체라 다 셈디 라자로 셈기딩니 니버디 라자 하데요 다 수부디 제불로터 subu midawa de la tu chetu de ti nugati gi chen chene subu di ta imi sister nyamje subu kyobu chae di kembe ne na za mambo yo he ta kyowa ngama chamba mambo komje digi nugati la de na digi nugati gi kembe che di za ma se kyowa chene subu de le imi sister yer ge chinje en cherimbo da ne me bo yo he 제선다 좀내디 이미 시스템 단위 자료 말다 간지 전부 겁나 교화점 체림보 연구래 아니 컨트롤제 네버게제나 교화점 체통도 연구래 내나서 뭐 연구래 송해디 디 페이지 단다 디 디기톤도 스키드나 용 쳐야도 시도
So therefore, if the situation has just been described, if that is really the case, well then any kind of mental event, anything that happened at a small age, at a young age, well this is still here, it's still there, so it doesn't change the mind in the sense that although it took place like 30 or 40 years ago, but these events, they change the mind, they lead to mental problems, and likewise they change the body. They also transform the body in a kind of adverse way. But if we don't say, like let's say 30 years later and shortly afterwards the person dies, well then 40 years later, 40 years after the abuse, which is already in the next life, then it's possible that this particular being also experiences the result of the abuse in the previous life, because you have a continuum of consciousness on the basis of which you find the potential, you find the imprints of the potential of the abuse. So it hasn't been resolved yet, and so those imprints, this potential is still kind of left on the mental continuum. And so therefore, as a result of a previous life's abuse, then in this lifetime the immune system may be harmed. And all sorts of diseases, illnesses and so forth occur because of this particular imprint, which harms the immune system. So that would also explain why, for instance, one gets angry in this life, it leaves some imprints, and then in the next life, because of this still lingering, that kind of capacity or potential still being there, it harms the immune system in the next life. Whereas on the other hand, if one meditates on love and compassion, which produces substances that benefit the immune system, that benefit the body, then again in the next life, since this potential, these imprints are still there, they may lead to a kind of healthy immune system. So this is basically here what the Buddha explains when he talks about love and compassion lead to a long life, a healthy life, whereas anger leads to a short life and an unhealthy life. So this explanation, this would actually explain why the Buddha said so in the way just described, of imprints being left and then kind of their potential still lingering and leading to a healthy or unhealthy immune system.
Legi keja mayin bache, chidang bacha gi lega che di muti ne tseti ma se kiwa che mai tu su yong he che tanda tinang tuwa. Nipep che kiwa ngama tengi tene tuwa. Nipep.
No, I'm nonsense.
Nipep gi tone kiwa ngama tengi che kasa chola che namdru tang keba shiwa tuwa. Namdru tang keba che ina namdru nang tu tsuyini. 인지미지 쇼바들 직다고 연바들 아니 신의 셈벌레 차고 디마치는 셈벌 기우충 요마를 봐 딘디지 유에댕이지 에 디 니베 제디자네 가르스나 베트남 러시아에서 겨마마 마지 니베 가라 아니 남주 당에체 아니 남주 쇼바 연바들 디 이렇게 태제 아니 시교래도 딘디 정교시래도 또디 바차디 겨와지말레제 초진에 따이 겨와음에 바차기 남주 당에디 디콜레 디제는 조부신의 직제 저진의 직다제 아니 바이 게임에 버터나 신의 relation 데베데 기브요 말.
So with regard to understanding these imprints, so how these imprints can affect our life, can also affect our future life. So there's the example of someone who underwent hypnosis. So there was a man, he was a very good pilot, so he would fly planes, he was a very good pilot, but every time he entered the plane, he was unable to fly the plane before he checked the left wing. He would have to look out of the look at the left wing, and when he saw everything was okay with the left wing, he was able to fly the plane. And so, that being the case, so he underwent hypnosis at some point, some kind of past life regression, and he was told that in a previous life he was a pilot. Again, I said Vietnam and Second World War. So anyway, in one of those wars, he was a pilot. And at that time, at some point, his left wing was shot at, and so he died as a result of that accident of like his left wing being shot at and starting to burst out in fire. So therefore, you have these imprints here. It's very clear that he had the imprints, first of all, of being a pilot. So he was very quick at learning to be a pilot. He was a good pilot as a result of the imprints in the past. But likewise, because of the accident he had, because of his left wing bursting or being attacked or being affected, therefore, as a result of that, he always checked, because of the imprint of that, he always checked whether the left wing was okay.
That mutuni laveche ta gyunzen ngaba de kanche ta rangi de yitamje simjen la rale de ba simjen la tene chungwa se ni sudi chade yare.
So to continue with this text, so the fifth reason, as described in the 6th verse, the fifth reason for why one should generate compassion is that one's happiness or one's well-being and happiness depends on sentient beings.
Dile du tipara la ni tsara tsuri she de du zum ho she tenda to to ta ba ta kyum sen ngadi lo la nge ba se na and some komna ya bu kire.
So Geshe says that he gave a lot of explanation in between. So leaving that aside, you should remember those 5 reasons given here and meditate on them. So that would be beneficial if you could meditate on these 5 reasons.
Ali yanamena shops teaching a tiro ni laba na shinji ni samutana tiro and you konechi labo to teaching.
So in order for that to become beneficial, so Gela will again from the beginning kind of summarize what he said so far.
Tang marala kange mabu yoba na shin simjen tige dile ani kange mabu yode bada ani nga kange medeba na shin simje tige die kange medeba chade yore.
So, in the same way as I have many problems, sentient beings have many problems. And in the same way as I do not wish to experience these different problems, sentient beings do also not wish to experience those problems. So, just as I would like to be free from those different sufferings, from different types of sufferings, in the same way, how wonderful it would be, or how nice it would be if they would also be free from sufferings. Just as I need happiness, they need happiness. In the same way as I need help when I experience problems and difficulties, likewise they need help when they experience problems. So we're the same in that sense. That's the first reason.
Then
with regard to the second, so here for a long time we experience problems together, we experience happiness together. So for a long time, other sentient beings and myself, we had all these different experiences together. And so therefore, at times when I experience problems, others help me to solve those. And for that reason, therefore, then, now that my situation is slightly better, now it's my responsibility to help other sentient beings. Also, all sentient beings for a long time, time and again, have been my parents, have been my children. So we've had these relationships time and again. So this is just a matter of having changed our bodies again and again, so having taken on different lives, having taken on different bodies, so therefore we do not recognize them. But if they were to remember, if we were to remember, they were to remember, then this love will arise again. It's just a matter of not remembering. But if you were to remember this love they've shown us and so forth, this will again manifest. So therefore we should think like, I will do my very best to help other beings, to help other benefit other beings. Likewise, it is only because of my inability to know reality or not understanding reality, so therefore I'm not able to generate love towards sentient beings. However, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who realize reality, they have this indiscriminate love towards sentient beings, in the sense that no matter how harmful another person acts, how harmful another or how negative a person is, they equally love these sentient beings. And so therefore me loving sentient beings, being fond of sentient beings, would please those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So therefore, if I benefit other sentient beings to the best of my ability, not only will I therefore in this way benefit others, but also with regard to my own benefit. So I will reap the full benefit, the temporary benefit, as well as ultimate benefit, as a result of working for the benefit of others. So therefore, if I benefit others, not only will that benefit other sentient beings, but it will also benefit myself. And not only will it benefit myself temporarily in the short term, it will also benefit me ultimately in long term. So for that reason, until the day I die, or as long as space remains, I should benefit, or I will, to the best of my ability, benefit sentient beings. So having thought along those lines, having reflected or contemplated in this way, then we should recite the prayer from the Bodhisattva way of life. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings will remain, I will also remain to relieve the suffering of sentient beings. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Can I wait for the microphone? Yeah, the microphone.
So it's about the...
Can you switch it on?
It's a... Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So it's about the... It's about the law of cause and effect. So I can see in my lifetime I have done countless negative actions, and I will not be able to only do good actions in the future. Or even if there was somebody else who has a lot of faith or intelligence and he can stop doing negative actions and only do good actions, but still in his mental continuum there will be the negative imprints. So is it that way that even if you kind of become a very good person, you still can have very negative circumstances in the future lifetimes?
Yeah. Is that it?
Yes.
これ感じしようでからすなペナモランダウイな legun to the legun the condition and a Koran one that's it dilla diba tongue me was our restaurant and the Tinus on the Shilla diba masaya couple the girl can sayala the Jino Sigmaris and the touching when a me chilla per teba you can do chilla me ripa you can chilla yinayam chi sit dilla chipet girl can do sevaina savaina that David the Kazata Kyongamala so what is Zolayam Tipa Shusawa Isra. I give in teaching me Katsi Yapuina, me Katsi Gyawa Savaina, said Dilaya Mambalaya Yani Yalian, so what Mishila, Gay Ungrata, Gay Ungra, Dilamaras.
The Tibasabi Tibulta to me, you had the Kutin Kebachadi. The Inet and the Pena Umala Tadakangete is Yore. Desamasi Chimbo Yumegi Lemambu Yori, Yoanga Sasha. In a lady Tanda Legache to Gomar. Parisana Tanda will show the Sula Rayo Resina, Negi Miliki Legisa, Otilo will shut up there. Kupumbo Gosa de Majebo do Alenega Lation that is Lega Yomarta.
So Geshe is saying, taking Geshe's own case. So with regard to his present body, of course he experienced some problems in this lifetime, and he's also accumulated the karma to experience great problems. However, actually of the different types of bases, the human basis has won the election. So in the sense it's won the election that now the other karmas that are associated with greater suffering, those karmas cannot ripen because of his human basis. So temporarily, these kind of karmas cannot ripen because he has the basis of a human life, and only those negative actions or only those experiences associated with that, they can ripen.
Chidane tanda di tungegi gyuti la leda nyumoni sherwa. Leda nyumoni shebe nanglo ne nyumon la nyimbo tenye di zo res, ta nangbegi tatan tirita. Karesana le la nyimbo tenye di zo ma res. Gyumzen karesana le ta mebaji yudi, ani katsui zoba ine tando la de girwas. Gyumzen chik niba di kisi meba soba ine, le mambuji meba tiba mambuji meba sotoba ine, nyumon rangja la de yudi, 양조 레사가 모르바스 제산타 레레 님부테디 조마레스 또 뉴몬 님부테니 뉴몬데 메바지 소토나 아니 초진에 레사바사가 마레 초진에 레게마사사주 여바이네 뉴모메나 콜은 게니 고거로 아껴 레야들 아니 콜레가 치투고 아마 리번에 세베 리번에 차 제산타 뉴몬 님부테디 조레스 디소메
레게 사바사가 사지기레 So in general, when we talk about the causes of suffering or about unpleasant experiences, the causes are contaminated karma and affliction. So from a Buddhist point of view, we don't really apply the antidotes to contaminated karma, but our main focus are the afflictions. We mainly focus on the afflictions. So the reason being that with regard to karma, so the reason we don't counteract, that is face negative karma basically, or apply the antidotes, is that karma is endless, it's infinite. So even if we were able to exhaust some of the karma, there'll be always so much left. Secondly, unless we remove, that is, overcome the afflictions, we will continue to accumulate contaminated karma. So therefore the main focus is on applying the antidotes to the different types of afflictions. Because once we've eliminated those afflictions, contaminated karma is no longer being accumulated. And even if there's still some contaminated karma left, because the cooperative condition, the afflictions are no longer there, they cannot lead to suffering experiences. And so that would be like a seed that is rotten, like a rotten seed. So in general, this is how it is. But of course it is difficult for us to attain liberation in this very lifetime. That being the case, we need to now work towards the future. We need to work for the next life, for our future life, to have again a basis that is a positive type of base that provides us with the right kind of opportunities, and not to be reborn in the lower realms.
기와다 기와 mambo 요리 디고 mambo 예배 나로는 고급디 기와들 라야기다 답시치 구월다.
And so at that time then, we have a new opportunity of the different karmic imprints, the negative ones and the positive ones, again to cultivate or to achieve a basis on the basis of which the positive imprints can ripen.
디 컨디시 구월에서는 내 mambo 예배 나로네 아니 시위 내가수 다 담보 기와래 딜레 간이딩에 민기르스나 간이 치고 차와요나 딩에 민기르스.
So, with regard to how this takes place, well, with regard to the different types of karmas or karmic seeds in our continuum at the time of death, which is the one that ripens earlier? So, it is explained that the one that is heavier, that will ripen first.
디지디자네 기와 강사바디 다스 나중도 마이무지 군노 비타고지키 저레네가스에 슈타고지 제직도체 떡친부사 사사비체레 지수 이란체 모노탑 두진 기와디 떡친부스 아니 디바 강체바디 니마 사사조이나 기바체나 샤바체나 총르주그레 친지 베티 빵마 통게 두제 다셈 타직도 딜라 가우신 멤버체 그 가주지기 슉 총중다 제사비체레 기바체다 두진이 디제바이나 디바 요바이네 디기디 슉 총마체 기와디 슉 체와지도 아니 고갑디 아니 기와디를 라루르바 디디 고급 다 디장ኛ제나 그뒤보들이 와자대요. 그러봐. 이 고급들이 찌니 숨이 터네. 아니 초치네. 이 몸에 벗어야 두체나. 제가 같이 남저 저제 타고타서는 내가 제가.
So here with regard to virtue, therefore, we need very strong virtue. We need to accumulate very strong virtue in this lifetime. So how can we accumulate such heavy, such strong virtue? Well, first of all, when we engage in the positive action, we start it as a preparation, we generate a very positive motivation. And then during the actual the execution of this positive action, so while we engage in this action, again, making sure that it's very positive. And as a conclusion, in terms of the conclusion of these positive actions, we rejoice in the positive aspect. We rejoice, we dedicate whatever virtue we've accumulated. So this is with regard to generating or cultivating very strong virtue. With regard to negative actions, so whatever negative actions we have accumulated, to generate regret. So that will lessen their force, that makes them less, it will make them less heavy, or will weaken them. And so also with regard to certain actions that we just cannot stop, to make sure we don't like these actions, those negative actions, even though we can avoid accumulating them, make sure we generate a dislike for them, to generate a regret having accumulated them. So in that way, our non-virtuous actions become reduced, they become weakened, whereas our positive ones become stronger, so we give them the opportunity to ripen. We give them the opportunity to ripen. However, then, of course, right away, we will not be able to reap the full effect, but then over several lifetimes, we are able to totally overcome the afflictions, and in the end, we achieve liberation and no longer have to worry about these actions.
제산 인지다 장바다 인지도 zullo 장제 아니 지 가자마이 뭐 싱딩이 계지 중나 뒤에 심지 탐지 세다 문에라 되다야 심지도 지금 문에디 그래 싱딩 그러는 심지 탐지 동에 타다는 전나세에게 선로 문에지 계토를 준비이나 뒤를 갑대 자야기 디버민도 먼저 컨트롤 가지 사와이네 미지니 망나 계급지 미 티켓이 참아 싫어지나 미 티켓이 참아 세셔 된대 할래나 미다 분카시 동주카시 된지지래다 지금 단다디 미진이 계좌 말에 난가 거쳐기 다 알링에는 뭐였는지 유엔의 매네 섬로 코친제로 난가 거쳐는 미탐제 사탐제 둔조탐제 제 탐제 디기 탐제다 되나 동의 탐제 진짜 인도지 제용도 딜러 갑대 정이 되면도 디바
So in particular here with regard to love and compassion, so it's important to familiarize our mind with love and compassion. And love and compassion that comes from the depth of our heart, that comes from deep within. And then also generating the attitude or the motivation, I'll do this for all sentient beings. But really all sentient beings, not just kind of like a weird sense, but really sentient beings. So from the depth of our heart to think of all sentient beings. So here when we think of all sentient beings and wish for them to have all happiness and be free from all suffering, there is no affliction that could act as a counterforce. Because it's impossible to have an affliction or have anger, for instance, directed at all sentient beings. Maybe directed at a whole country, or maybe directed at 1,000 people or even 1 billion people, but that's still not all sentient beings. Whereas on the other hand, here, your motivation is like, if you have the motivation of love and compassion, or the attitude of love and compassion, then whatever sentient being there is, so celestial beings, so wherever there is space basically, whether they're really all these sentient beings is a different matter, but wherever there is space, all these different sentient beings, whether celestial beings or humans or pretas, etc. So thinking of all these sentient beings and wishing for all the happiness, all possible happiness, wishing for them to have that and to be free for all types of suffering.
And Shigala Musabsa Chejere. Shigala Nagi Simli Kihola Netu Jumbayina, Yanki Vili did a Togor Vishodi.
That's it. And another method is, another technique is to be careful at the moment of death. So at the time of death, to generate a positive attitude, a positive state of mind, which then makes it more likely for positive karma to ripen. So in that way, there's different ways of getting prepared. So also at the time of death, like if you have friends and companions, they may assist you by reminding you of all this at the time of death.
Sedilata Kadu Pangan Chetuguaman, the Disama Mashiba to Indas. Yanayang to Tena, she savage the Trame, Yeme, Pamame, Pume, Bet Kagare, Siedi, and Panjolonge di Megile, Mashiba to re, she savicella, Kajike Yomata, Mashiba doing any Negi Panjore, Kore Damanzo, and she savicella, Sularana Ke Yomare, Karesan Tadini Yomare, Paj. Pajutadi Mizandli Jedonaya, Pajudinian Chasar, Chesa Sama Mashibo Inda Stichena, Shigalam, Dilla Tempe, Nando Tamata to the Kigmarwa, and then Kiwa Rik Chigla, Kundun, Shukso Kona, Kiwa Kayaruma Chigla, Suzuki, Comti, Kabuyo Seki, Kiwa Kayaruma Chigla, Kundu, Tenshi Tentena, Comti Wangi Shigalamantilla, Tenshi Kapoten to
So here also what's important is to think that if you have like an enemy or friends, to always remember those are only of this lifetime. Those are only friends and enemies of this lifetime. So for this lifetime, yes, so whatever activity you engage in, yeah, there are these people we like and those we dislike, but only for as long as we live. And then with regard to your possessions, likewise, there's something that you can only enjoy in this lifetime, and then when you die, you can't take them with you. So to think already, okay, for this lifetime they're necessary. I need those objects. I need to utilize them. But afterwards, no matter what happened, whatever happens. May someone else receive them. And also with regard to our enemy in this lifetime, the people we dislike in this lifetime, maybe in a future lifetime we're born in their family, and now they're relatives, they become close relatives. So to reflect on all this, to really understand that our body, our possessions, our friends, enemies, all this is just in this lifetime. And so when we're really aware of that, at the moment of death, no disturbing thoughts will arise that will actually hinder us from generating positive thoughts. So in that sense, to generate that kind of understanding, and also generate a liking for certain virtuous actions, and in that way accumulate more positive actions, and that will therefore lead to some kind of habit, and this habit then at the time of death will be helpful for a virtuous mind to arise.
Amala Manimo Tangora, Tangakin Tangora, and the Shajan to Tamato to the Lava.
So Geshe says his own mother, she would always recite Omanipema Hum with a rosary. So at some point she had surgery. So when she was given the anesthesia, even then her hand was still moving.
수수 강에 거리체네 진난 거리래네 심지 천달을 드는 마용어쇼 심지 탐제를 드는 마용어쇼 디 공지 된샤나 시간 헛비가를 제뭐 돈난다 제메로 신 강에지 제게로다 강에 체는 남주 강에 가디 체네 뒤 쳔비 곰시디기 시간 너무 강에 가디 체징나 가디 심지션에 뒤만 없어 세디 베지치 뭐 레임으로 딜레는 슈침슈 차로로
And in general, also, we should always generate love, we should always generate compassion for other sentient beings. And when problems arise, we should think when we have fear, for instance, anxiety, may this be the result of me taking other sentient beings suffering, or make other sentient beings not experience that. So if you habituate your mind with this way of thinking, that whenever a problem arises, may this relieve sentient beings from suffering, then at the moment of death, of course if you die suddenly, there's nothing you can really do to generate the right attitude, but usually there are certain problems, there's difficulty when we die, but due to our habit, when these difficulties arise at the moment of death, you will automatically transform it by way of thinking, may whatever suffering I experience, may I take on the suffering of others.
양대기 돈은 로레 비친지 소야를 빼지 끄니 치두니는 디숨바 말에 빼지 끄니 간제다 아마지다 보모지 추침부지 게는도 추키 디키도 전에 아메기 보모도 제와게 보모게 아마도 제와게 니 아마 빼사서 아마다 선도도 거 디제와 디긴데 탈레지 시간을 못 디긴데 오늘 진짜 제와 라빠 쉬어로 다디 디이나다 아니 신다스미야 던제 라나다 셴마고
For instance, in the Nirvana Sutra, there's an example given here. So it's not actually, the actual explanation is a different one. So this is only an example. But the example is of a mother and her daughter. So they're crossing a very strong current, like a river which has a very strong current. And they're both taken away by the strong current and die and drown in the river. But their last thoughts, just before they die, is worry and concern of the other person. So the mother is thinking, oh, my daughter is in danger. And likewise, the daughter is thinking, oh, my mother is in danger. So because of this thought, this concern that manifested at the moment of death, therefore it's said that they were reborn in the celestial realm. So if you think of all sentient beings, you don't even need to mention the virtue. If you just think of one person that has a virtuous result, you don't even need to consider all sentient beings.
먼저 강에 체디 로봇의 공시디요 인상 균도 상계를 디치시게나 강에 거리체네 상계를 접수시 상계 디체바이나 시간을 디체용으로
And similarly, usually when we have a problem, we seek the help of a friend. So we have that natural tendency, and so therefore when a problem arises, we should take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha. And so if we make a habit of that, then likewise at the moment of death, we will naturally take refuge.
답이 아니시네면 지게를 지된벨라라 디지에디시라 유기만 그리나 롤레이나 지된벨라라 진이 요라 가지 시우까부지된 강에 태바다 숨마다 강에 또 딜레 딜콤시디 키제 시간아마 숨마테 강에 다 펜도요 말다
It's fortunate that Westerners don't have that habit to depend on like worldly kind of deities. Whereas in Tibetan society there is that custom that there's some who depend on worldly deities, and then at the moment of death they take refuge in them, and as a result of that they experience problems.